So I've made a lot of bad paintings in my life, and I assume I'll continue to do so here and there. But I just had an idea for how to best have the best success, how to best create things that look really pleasing. So what I did to start with is I chose 3 flowers that we're gonna make. And we're gonna do a large, we're gonna do a medium, and we're gonna do a small. And those sizes approximately look like this: large, medium, small. And they could be different shapes as well. So like for this one, or for this one, you could do something like a big one. Or for this one, you could do like something like that. And for this one, of course, you can do like a variety of different shapes. Doesn't matter. But what we're gonna do as well is we're gonna choose 3 main colors. So I've decided to look here at my color chart, and I really like magenta, purple, and blue. So I've decided for those to be my main floral colors. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at the values, because it's not just about color, it's also about the value. So I've decided for magenta, we're going to go dark. For blue, we're going to go medium. For purple, we're going to choose pale or light. So we've got pale, medium, and dark in 3 separate colors. So already there, we've got a lot of interest. However, when we're doing floral bouquets, it's really nice to be able to use leaves and centers as well. So I've decided for the leaves, we're going to do a warm green, and we'll get into it a little bit more in the video section of it, where I'm going to show you how to actually create leaves. We'll do some color variations within it. But as you can see, like these 3 right here, if you go right across, you've got kind of like a warmer green right here. So we're just gonna choose that and go with it. Centers, we're gonna choose to go with a warm yellow. So probably more like right in between cad and regular yellow. We'll get more into that when I show you actually how we're going to create it as well. And then we're also going to need to paint our background. You don't have to, but I like to. So I went, okay, for my background color, what do I want? I don't want it to clash, and I want it to go very beautifully with the floral colors I've chosen. So I said, okay, I want to paint it magenta, but I have a dark magenta over here for flowers, so why don't we go for a pale magenta over here? Give some interest, give some variety, but still staying within the same color families. So for our background flower, and this is what I mean by background flower, is this is going to be the flower that we kind of use to tie everything together, because when you take your dried flowers that have already been created, you want to set them into a wet paint so that they can stick. So that's what I mean by background flower. It doesn't necessarily have to be a flower, but that's what I'm going to choose to do today. So for this one, I decided I want it to be a 2-tone color. So we're going to go with purple. Here we've got pale. Here we've got mid. For blue, here we've got medium. Here we've got pale. So, and I'll also tell you a little bit more about it when we get into it. But I really like to choose to put the pale color in the middle, because it really gives it a little bit of shine, a little sparkle. So I'm really excited to show this to you, because this is the first time I've had like such a great idea that just, it makes perfect sense. It's a great system. It's a simple system, and I'm really excited to show you guys how to do it. So we're going to start off by making the large flowers, then, because those need the longest to dry. And then second, we're going to make the background and the mid flowers, and maybe the small flowers as well, because that seems fun. And then on the final time, we're going to add the centers and the background flowers. And we're gonna assemble everything. So let's do it. Are you excited? I'm super excited. I couldn't wait. I'm so excited. I missed saying something, or designating which flowers are gonna made out of which one. So let's do that now. So I would like for my medium flower to be the palest. So let's just make a little slash. We'll do medium flower. For the blue one, we'll have that be the little flower. And then for the magenta, we'll have that one be the large one. All right, I think that covers everything. Section of the video. So first of all, I have some clear heavy gel medium from Gaffrey Art Materials. I have some medium violet, which I'm going to be using from Gaffrey Art Materials. I have Liquitex Basics in medium magenta, and I have Liquitex Basics in a magenta quinacridone. So I'm going to be using a mix of these paint colors and mediums in order to create my dark magenta floral. So you're going to need 2 piping bags for this section, and I'm going to be using a large, it's a 127D Wilton tip in a petal shape. I'm going to make large peonies, and actually I have these little guys left over from another project, and they are perfect. They're the perfect color, the perfect shape, and they were made with this tip, which actually is not labeled or anything. So I can't even tell you where I got it from, unfortunately. And I'm sorry about that. But you can see what it looks like, and you can also see it's already got a little bit of magenta stripe through it. So it's perfect for this project. What else you're gonna need? You're gonna need some paper plates for paint mixing. You're going to need some parchment paper. You're going to need something that works as a tray, and I like this wood panel that still has plastic on it because, as you can see, I've used it before, but the plastic or the paint peels right off of it pretty easily. So, oh, you're also gonna need one of these. And a palette knife is good for mixing. So I'm gonna go get myself a palette knife, and then I'm gonna start mixing the colors so you can see what I have in mind. This is going to be a little bit tricky at first, because when I use this clear, heavy texture medium, it looks white at first, but it dries translucent. So it's going to look wrong at first, but I have used it before and I think I know what I'm doing. Hope I know what I'm doing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna mix a little bit of the dark magenta with this. Also, I have my trash can right here off to the side so I can easily toss things in there. And I'm wearing an apron to protect my clothes. So I'm just gonna pipe out a little bit of that. And you're also going to need some paper towels to clean up. So, basically what I'm trying to achieve with this flower is I want it to have a little bit of a gradient color gradient to it, which is why I'm mixing 3 different versions of the color together. And this violet just really looks to me like a dark magenta, so that's why I'm going to use that one. And then I'm just going to zhuzh it up a little with this magenta, dark and light, or medium. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this piping bag, cut it, and you're going to want to make sure that the tip is really snugly in there, and if it's not, then just go ahead and take a little more off that end. There we go. So sometimes if there's an air pocket around here, paint gets in there and then your tip starts sliding back into the bag and it makes a really big mess. So I just like to make sure that it's snug in there before I start adding paint. And look at that, we're already getting messy. So, you see this, the thicker side, that's going to be the center of our flower. So, we're going to put our darker color on the bottom. And then we're just going to leave it sitting there like that. And then we're going to go in with a, you know what, I'm going to actually add some white here. Instead of using that medium magenta, I'm just going to add a little bit of white here, and it's going to just bring the value up. I think that'll be good. And the way you close these bags, my preferred way is by using the Gaffrey clips, which I will show you in a few minutes, so that you can also get them if you prefer. Some people also just leave them, and then the paint almost, it forms like a clot, if you will. Sounds gross, but you know. And then you can just pull it off and begin painting again if you like. It's up to you. But see how that's a beautiful pale magenta? And then what we're gonna do with this one is we're gonna take it and put it towards what would be the tip of our petal. And the reason I like to do this is because it creates a lot more definition in the flower to have lighter colors towards the outer edge and darker colors towards the inside, towards the center. I also like that it creates a little more variation in the tones and you know, the colors, like as they mix. It just looks really neat to me. So you see how that looks? And then we're gonna go in with our mid violet. And then we're gonna give it just a little bit of shimmy. And the reason for doing this is just to kind of let the paint settle a little bit so that the air is knocked out, and hopefully you get a much smoother piping experience. So I'm just gonna lay this down for a minute, and I'm going to get some more paper towels. All right, so you will also need a jar of water, which I just got. I will show you how to clean this off. And I basically just kind of squeeze the paint back into the tube and then clean off the edge. And then I pop on this little clip, and it's good to, you know, it's good till next time. I used to use clothespins until Gaffrey Art Materials started making these clips, and I really like the clips and I use them a lot, so I do recommend these. And then we're just gonna clean up our palette knife a little bit. Doesn't have to be all the way clean. And then we're gonna toss it in our water. Rotate this to the bottom, set it off to the side, and then if you want, you can use a rotating cake stand. I'm going to be using one today. And then, let's see, we're going to touch just a bit of wet paint to here, bring over some of that parchment. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a little ridge. Ooh. In a circle. And then I'm going to create 5 petals. Look at that. So it didn't actually behave the way I hoped, but you know what? Sometimes that's just how it goes. And since this is where we are, we're just gonna stick with it. And then at this point, if you want, you can place your centers in. You can also wait until the end if you choose to. And then we're just going to very carefully lift this and this, and we're going to slide it over. Look how beautiful. Very, very nice. And then, since we're going very quickly through this bag, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open this and add a bit more in there. Because these big flowers, they do require quite a bit of paint. Since that wasn't sticking very well, I'm going to add some more anchor points. There we go. I think that's better. Then we're going to add this. So the reason for doing this is to create more height, more drape for your petal. It's too much of a gap, but when I'm fixing it to use it, what I can do is I can just add more of this to the background of the dried flower, and I think it's going to do just fine to mask those gaps in there, because I do not like those, and those are going to dry even more noticeably. So just be aware of that. Then we're just going to gently make sure you unstick it. There we go. The colors are just gorgeous though, even if it's going a little tricky. And if this is your first time doing it, and if you have paint to spare, I would definitely recommend that you either try it with a smaller tip with less paint, or that you make a few extra so that you can have some to choose from. That one's really good. Then let me just take it and squish it right in. Check that out. I really love the colors. I think they are really gorgeous. Now we've got a little bit of paint left over, so I'm going to show you what I like to do. I like to either make extras, or I like to mess around and see what else I can make. And for this one, I'm going to create a smaller version of these. So let's do it like that, and we'll go in right here. And then, so if they're kind of smaller and you feel comfortable doing this, you can also transfer them like this, but I wouldn't recommend it for the larger flowers, okay? It's better for those to be done very carefully so that they don't fall apart. Perfect. And I'm actually going to grab more of those centers because I can use them now. absolutely perfect. I had 2 left. Very nice, very nice. You know what? I'm looking at the gap under this big one over here, and I'm gonna create like a little extra paint squish right here. And I'm basically just gonna squish out all the paint I have left. And then, because if I wait for it to dry and then I put wet paint behind it, it's gonna squish through the holes and it's gonna look bad. So I'm going to make a little cover out of dried paint that I'm just gonna stick underneath it, like that. And then I'll peel up the skin and pop it on the back of there, and you won't even notice. It'll be great. And then, for some paintings, I would continue using this and just keep adding white or clear into this because it's got so much pigment still on the inside. It would be gorgeous. But for this specific project I'm working on, I'm going to skip that step. And instead, I'm just going to score along here with my scissors. And then I'm gonna squish this into the trash can, and then I'll put it in water. So for the second part, we're gonna need smaller pieces of parchment paper that are cut. Pair of scissors. I'm using a dioxazine purple from Gaffrey Art Materials. It's a medium texture, and I'm gonna be diluting it with white. And I have a 104 Wilton tip here that I'm going to use. And I also have a piping nail, which you can use, or you can use a rotating cake stand. And also you're going to need something. It doesn't have to be a wood board. It can be just a piece of cardboard. That's what I use sometimes. But I like these, so I'm going to use this. You're also going to need, of course, a piping bag. And I'm going to use my palette knife that I used for the last ones. And I'm just going to use that to mix. So I'm going to make 2 color mixes of this. One of them is going to be a paler version than the other. I know we said pale purple is what we're going with. However, I'm going to choose like a pale and paler version. And it's going to be a little tricky because dioxazine purple is very, very strong. It's very pigmented. So I got to be careful and not choose too much. I don't even know how much is a little bit, so I'm just going to start with the teeniest amount. And here we've got white. Okay, we can do a little bit more. Going to be so pretty. Oh, I love it already. Do you see how it's kind of got some color veins in it? I think I might just leave it a little bit like that. So this is going to be the darker of the two shades. So we're gonna put it towards the fat side of the petal, which is gonna be the inside, of course. And then we're gonna go in with a little more white and just make a really pale version of this. There you go, you can see the two colors. You know the drill. Give it a little bit of a shake just to let it settle. And then we're gonna wipe off the palette knife. We're gonna have a sip of tea. And then we'll get started. And for this flower, what I have in mind is to make a really cute little pinwheel shape flower. So I'm gonna go in like, did I show you guys which tip this is? It's a Wilton 104. We're gonna press and pull away, press and pull away. And then we're gonna make like 4, which is going to create our little center or our symmetry. That one's a little short, so I'm gonna, and then it got too long. All right, and then we're gonna go in and add a second layer in between every one of those original petals. Look how cute. Let's see what happens if we make a little circle like we did for the peonies. And then we make this. See, I'm always learning. I told you guys. I am always learning new stuff, figuring out new stuff. So it's very fun for me to do things and try new stuff, you know. I like that. Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna do that again. It makes it look really cool. Some of these are too big, so I'm gonna slash them in half. I want to make, sorry about that. I want to make 9. Yeah, I want to make 9. So we done like this. That one's a bit iffy. It's always good to make extras so you can choose the best ones. That one's a bit too small. Oh well. How many did I say? 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3 more. Yeah. Because there's two of these I really don't like and I don't want to use. I don't know, man. These are not looking alike anymore. I think I need to take a break. I'm just gonna use the last of my paint, finish up what I started, and yeah, I'm gonna go take a break. I'll come back to it when I feel a little more excited about it again. I think I need to go have lunch. I always feel better after I eat. Maybe a nap. A nap sounds nice. Oh, my husband's home today, so I could go spend some time with him. Maybe we can watch a movie, take a nap together. That might be nice. All right, let's go back to the original design. And then since I've got a little extra, I'm just gonna make a little bit of something interesting for another painting. Or maybe even this one. These ones can look like buds, and I like that. So, who knows? Maybe I'll end up using them this painting. But I always like to make sure I use all of my paints. And if I don't like it, I can always just use these paint bits as bases for when I pipe roses and stuff like that. Alrighty, you guys, we're gonna let these things dry, and I'll be back later. All right, welcome back. We are going to be moving on to the small flowers, of which I've decided I would like to make 15. And these are going to be hydrangeas. They are going to be in the mid-tone of blue, but we're going to do a little bit of variegation of colors, or with colors. So I'm going to show you a little bit how to do that. But for what we're going to need for this section is some paper towels. We're going to use the light phthalo blue by Gaffrey Art Materials. It's a heavy textured paint. I'm going to use a little bit of the quinacridone magenta. I am going to use heavy textured white. I'm going to use some of these palette knives for mixing. I'm going to use a piping bag with a small Wilton 102 tip. And I'm also going to be using one of these. This is a piping nail. This is the medium size. There's also a smaller one, but I can't find it right now, so I'm just going to use this one. And I'm going to have this tray, which honestly, it's a canvas that's covered in plastic, and I've used it a bunch of times now to put everything on, and you know, it works really well. You can see it just peels off. So let's get started. You're gonna need a pair of scissors as well, so you can snip your bags and stuff. So first we're going to go ahead and get this placed, and like I stated previously, we want to make sure it's snugly in there. I don't like it when it moves around a bunch. So this is a mid-tone, so I'm going to stick with that for the middle. But like I showed you before, I like to do a lighter color towards the top of the petal and a darker color towards the bottom of the petal. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to make the dark petal. I'm going to take some of this blue, and I'm going to make sure that I don't have any dried pieces in here that are going to mess with the flow of things as I am painting. It's a lot more important when you're dealing with the smaller tips that you really make sure that you're not going to have anything in here that's going to clog up the tip. Oh my. Dude, that was crazy. It just wants to dry out. Oh my gosh, what a mess. Here. All right, let's just bring it out the side then. Yeesh. Ay, ay, ay. I guess this bag didn't seal properly. And you know what else we're going to need? Because you know I always forget something. We're also going to need some parchment paper. This is too much. So I'm going to separate it into two. Honestly, that's still too much if you ask me, so I'm actually going to do that again. And the reason for doing this is because my flowers are actually pretty small, so I won't need tons and tons of paint. So that's pretty cool. Like when you're working with smaller flowers, they take a lot less paint. We're just going to add a little bit of quinacridone magenta to one pile, and we're going to mix it. Look how beautiful. Isn't that just a gorgeous shade? I love it. And then we're going to take this. We're going to hold our bag like we've done before. The larger side of the tip, which is going to be the inner part of the flower, is going to get the darkest shade. And you can play around with this and actually put the lightest shade in the middle too. I just usually prefer to put the darker shade in the middle. But you don't have to, and I've played around with it a lot, and I've found a lot of different things that I've liked. So I recommend that people do that, you know, as well. So there we go with that. And actually, because it's gonna be such a small flower, I'm gonna actually smooth this out so that I can get my colors where I want them. All right, and let's move over and do the light one. Add a bit of white. It's not very light. There we go. That's good. Now we're gonna take this and put it towards the top of the bag, like so. And then because it's too much, what I'm just gonna do is I'm going to put in this first into the middle. As best you can in the middle. Of course, you're not gonna get it all the way perfect. And then I'm gonna move this towards the center. And close it up, and you know, you give it a little shake, try to get the air bubbles out, give it a twist, lay it down for a minute, get yourself a paper towel or a rag, and wipe this off, and then drop it in water. when you're piping, just make sure you're always giving a twist to the back of that bag so that you can have the best control over like your pressure. I just like to keep the tension tight. And for these, I think I'm gonna give them all centers when I go to finish the painting. I like to add centers towards the end of the painting, and then sometimes I'll add things like buds and stems and things like that with wet paint after I've assembled everything else. It's just one of my finishing details that I do. And sometimes they don't all turn out well, so then I'll just choose the best ones for my artwork. what you're going to need for this step is a 10 by 10 canvas, a fan brush, or whatever brush you prefer, a little bit of water, and a spray. I mean, you can, I'm going to spray it. Just make sure my canvas is going to respond well to when I brush paint onto it. Set that off to the side. I'm going to bring in a touch of magenta and a little bit of white heavy textured acrylic paint. Now you can use regular paint for the background if you choose, but today, here's what I'm using. And then I'm going to be placing it onto the canvas using a palette knife and then smoothing over it with my paintbrush. Just a small amount of magenta for starters, and we can always add more. It's pretty, but it's a little pale, so I'm just gonna add a touch more. All right, so now we're gonna bring this over. Let's brush the standing water back and forth a smidge. All right, and then look how fun this is. You got to just swipe it on there, however you like. You can pretend you're icing a cake if you like. It's a little too wet, as you can see, which is unfortunate, but let's see what happens if we keep going. And the reason I'm using the heavy textured for the background is because I want it to have a little more texture than just a regular background, and I want it to be shiny. So that's why I'm doing this. You don't have to, you can do a variety of other things. Yeah, I could have skipped the water step. That was unnecessary. It's a little bit more messy now since I put all that water on it. I would definitely recommend you guys skip this step. I just want my edges here to have more texture, so I'm just gonna make them look a little weird. And you can do whatever you want, whatever you prefer for this step. You don't have to follow along at all, you know. Sometimes it's just fun to see what's possible, and then you can go and do your own stuff and be just completely unique and have fun with your own style. Hello everyone. The flowers have dried. I think these are still a bit gooey on the back. No, a smidge. They're not all the way dry, but they're certainly dry enough for us to use them. So I thought we'd go through and choose the very best flowers that we're gonna keep, and then stay organized to go ahead and finish this. I'm really excited about this. I've been very impatient. I have been so excited about this project. So it was hard to let things dry, but here we are. We made it. I made it. So first of all, I wanted to go over some stuff. So I don't like how pale the pink is of this background, but that is just how it's gonna have to be. These ones look pretty good, but they're quite big. So normally in the past I have used 12 by 12 canvases, but the last time I went to buy canvases, I bought 10 by 10s instead. So I am using them, and they're kind of small. So for example, you can see how much space this one flower takes up. So I was considering using the smaller ones instead, and then one big one. I think I do want to do that. I just think it'll look better. So I'm going to keep this because I've already added all the background leaves anyways, so it's fine. It's fine. I have on the board behind me that my background flower is going to be a mid purple and a pale blue. So I think that's going to step up the contrast because these turned out paler and these turned out a bit paler than I would have liked. But like I said, I'm always trying new stuff, and sometimes I really love the new stuff, and sometimes it's a little too new. So I wanted to show you guys what I was doing with this little jar here. So remember when I was piping, it was this flower. I piped it, and there were too many gaps in the middle. Well, as it was drying, I kind of squished it inward. You can just kind of shape it in, and then I let it dry in here, and it created a nice scooped shape. And oh, I didn't tell you guys. I didn't show you guys. I did this off camera. See the centers? I ended up not liking the centers I had used, and I had piped these, and they were separate. And one day I was in there, and I was looking at my flowers because, I go in there like every day and I look at stuff and check everything to see if it's dry and all that stuff. And these ones, they were like dry on the outside, but still really, really wet and gooey on the inside. So I just picked it up and I basically capped the other center with this one. I just squished it on there and it worked just fine. So let me go ahead and choose my flowers I'm going to use for this painting. So I'm going to use 3, and I'm going to use 2 small ones and 1 large one. And then I'm gonna put the other ones off to the side. Oh, this is what they looked like when I piped them. And then they just weren't dry at all in the middle. And then I just set it on top. All right, so I think I said, I don't know where I put my paper. Here I have it. I think, sorry, there's a different one. Because I also made another one. I'm so excited to show you guys that one as well. Let's see, the large ones, we're gonna have 3. The medium ones, we're gonna choose 9. So, definitely love this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. All right, and for the blue ones, we're gonna count out 15. All right, for this portion, I'm going to be using my plate, a dioxazine purple in a medium texture. Yes, mid viscosity. I'm going to be using a periwinkle heavy texture because this is pretty close to purple and it's what I have. So I'm just going to make it more purple. And then I'm going to be using a 1M tip. You're going to need a piping bag as well, some water here, paper towels to clean up, water for your own hydration, not to be confused with your paintbrush water. You'll need a pair of scissors. You'll need a palette knife for mixing, and not to forget the blue that goes in the middle. And you remember this one shot out the side last time. Ugh, it is such a mess. Oh my gosh. I don't know why. I've never really had a bag burst like this, so I don't know what's happening. I think You know what? This blue needs to be used, and this periwinkle I could hang on to a little bit longer. So you know what? Scratch what I just said. I'm gonna use this blue for my purple. I'm gonna see if I can squeeze it out the other end because I don't want, such a mess. I don't want to get clots of semi-dried paint from this over here being open to air. So I'm gonna just cut the end off here because I've got some dried paint over here on this end. And then I'm just gonna end up using all of this, I guess, or close to all of it. All right, so we'll use this as our purple. Remember, this is going to be a medium purple. So I'm going to add some, some pigmentation in there. I think I'll add a little bit more. It's really pretty. I love it. What a gorgeous shade. And it does not need to be mixed all the way. I'm just choosing to do that for this painting. So pretty. Wow. Can't believe I've never done this before. Huh. All right. Then I'm gonna bring my parchment paper over here and I'm gonna use this to create my, I don't even know. I don't have a word for that. This is just gonna be my mixture that's gonna go in the bag. And I'm going to position it so that when it comes out of the bag, I get the, experience I want to have. So I'm just gonna have to walk you through it. So first, I'm gonna start with my darker color. This is gonna be on the outside. And it is so gorgeous. I am so in love. Wow. I'm kind of going to spread it out just a little bit. Not too much, but a little bit. Now I'm going to clean off my knife. And then I'm going to bring over my blue. And it's going to be a little harder, maybe not. we're gonna put that blue right in the middle. It's just a little bit messy. And then what we're gonna create is we're going to smush the purple to be around the blue. Kind of wrap it around. You can also use saran wrap for this stuff. I added a little too much blue, so now it's like squishing towards the side. It happens sometimes. It is okay. I just really want for it to be in the center of the flower, but if it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen, and that is okay. And then just give it a gentle roll over. You're not going to squish it or anything. And then piping bag. And then we're going to be using a 1M tip, so we're going to cut the bag appropriately for that size. We're just going to eyeball it. And make sure this is fitting snugly in there. I just like to kind of make sure the plastic forms a little bit around it so it doesn't back out too easily. Then I'm going to cut off my excess here. A little bit messy, it's all right. And then, there you go. All right, let's get started. Let's do the super fun part. All right, I'm gonna be using my rotating cake stand because I like to do that. And we're gonna concentrate the highest amount of, the most height for the center of the painting. And then it kind of, has a gradient outwards. All right, so I'm not gonna finish all of it. I'm just gonna leave some in the bag still, so that as I'm going along, if I feel like I need to add more height here and there, I will. And then I'm gonna pull these on over, and I'm gonna start deciding where I want my biggest flower. And I'm thinking that a good position for that one is over here. And so you just kind of gently place it in there and keep going. And I like to start with my largest ones and move on to the smaller ones. And then I like to, I don't know, this is the creative process. You just kind of do what feels right. And if you don't know what feels right, just try a couple times, and you'll kind of start to feel for what you like things to feel like, and you'll learn by doing if you're anything like me. So don't worry, you kind of learn as you go. It's okay. All right, those are looking nice. I like that. All right, and then I'm gonna start going in with these ones. I really want this one right here. Yes, so pretty. I love to do this stamping thing. It's one of my very favorite parts of the project. I mean, it's beautiful already. And look, we haven't even added the small ones. Isn't it great? I mean, I would like to use this formula and make a couple different videos so that I can really show to you guys. And I was skeptical about this. I am not going to lie. I was thinking, oh my God, there is no way. This is not gonna work. These colors are not looking good together, and yet as I'm watching them come together on the canvas, I'm feeling a little emotional. I'm like, look at you doubting yourself, and you knew what you were doing the whole time. So, you know, sometimes things are a little easier than you think, and that is okay. And I hope you have fun. as much fun, hopefully, as I do discovering these things, because man, it just lights me up so much. You don't need to use the tweezers, but it does help keep your fingers from getting paint on them and then like moving it around and touching a couple things. I would love for you guys to use this formula or this idea and show me some of your art. I am just, I'm so passionate about, doing stuff that makes me so excited, and then when I can figure out how to speak about it and share it with other people, oh my gosh, that's so exciting for me. I love it. And I would just love it if you guys show. So I'm just gonna take some chartreuse and some cadmium yellow, give it a little mix, and place that in a bag. Like I said, I do not need much, so I'm not going to mix a whole lot either. And if you want to use a tip, you can. I'm gonna be using the Wilton 13. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just snip a tip off the bag and I just use that. Now here we're gonna take every empty flower, not empty, every flower that doesn't have a center. Ooh, here, I'm gonna clean my knife. And honestly, I might even add a little bit to these purple flowers. I think I'm gonna leave the big flowers alone. What do we think? Is it done? I think it might be. Just gonna stand up and look at it from here. Oh, let's not miss this one. Here. Okay, I like that.